welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked for this week. These pens are all on loan to me from John at stjohnspens.com. So I'd like to thank John for the loan of these pens for review. Now I think let's just go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right, we have a Wahl Eversharp Decaband Oversize, and this is in the Jade. A Wahl Eversharp Decaband Oversize in the Gatsby. We have a Chatterley Luxuries exclusive, and this is the Tribal. It's a Leonardo Officina Italiana Grande in the Mediterraneo. We have an Armando Ceremony Club, and this is the Bespoke edition Gladiatory Medio in the Wild. We have an Oldwin in the Omar Saffron Blue. We have an Oldwin in the Omar's Arco Verde. We have an Armando Ceremony Club, and this is the Gladiatory Medio in the Arco Brown. We have a Bexley Carroll Shelby, and then we have a Leonardo Italiana Cuspide in the grey, and then in the olive. So I think let's take a look at these in a little bit more detail. So this is a beautiful Wahl Eversharp Decaband that's on loan to me at the moment for review, and this is a beautiful specimen. It's a resin material in this large Wahl Eversharp Oversize Decoband model. It comes with a 18 karat gold nib. Now I know some of the earlier models came with a 14 karat gold. Same with ASC as well, because they're all part of the pen family. They then very quickly switched to an 18 karat gold nib, and this is the 18 karat gold nib. So you can see there the nib is laser etched, and it has a very large ebonite feed there. It has a pneumatic filling system, so it actually has a rubber latex sac installed inside the pen, and you basically unscrew this very sort of thin, shallow sort of pneumatic filling knob, and then you pull it out, you put your finger over, you press it in like so, you let your finger off of that hole, and then ink will rush into the sac. But I'm not going to do that now because it's inked up and it's going to shoot ink out everywhere. So that's that one that I have inked up this week. I then have another Wahl Eversharp here, and again this is a Decaband Oversize, and this is in the Gatsby. So this is in a interesting material here. It's a sort of guilloche sort of pattern, Art Deco pattern that's going on here in this material. Again, it's a very large nib. This is an 18 karat gold nib there, you can see, and with an ebonite feed as well, and it has the same pneumatic filling system there. So this one is inked up at the moment. It's inked up with a black ink, shock horror, because I do like to match my ink colours to pen colours. So that's inked up with a black ink today. And then we have this one, which is a complete and utter mouthful. It's officially a Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero Grande. However, it's a Chatterley Luxuries exclusive called the Tribal in the Mediterranean or Mediterranean celluloid material. So that is a massive mouthful. Now this is number 3 of 6, so there are only 6 of these made in this material. I do have one in a regular Momento Zero size, but I have to say I'm really loving this one. So this, if I unscrew the cap, comes with a 14 karat gold nib there that you can see, and that is, I believe, is it a broad? Yes, it's a broad nib with an ebonite feed, but you can see that there. It's a very low profile feed. Now this is not a piston filling pen. This is the original or earlier versions of the integrated piston. This is really it's really a captured converter. It's just moves up and down. You cannot remove this converter. it is holding a lot more ink capacity because of that. So they actually made a much larger converter, which I think honestly works really well. The next pen, now this is an Armando Ceremony Club, and this is the Gladiatory Medio, but it's the Bespoke edition. So this is a special version of the Medio. And this is in the Omars and it's in the wild side or wild material. And this again is a celluloid material. And if I unscrew the cap, you'll see here it has an ASC nib, and that's again an 18 karat gold nib with an ebonite feed. But this is a nice pen, and I do like, there's several materials that I like in pens, and the wild is one of those materials. The other is the Arco brown, and then the other is the Arco Verde. They are really, really lovely celluloid materials, and they are becoming more and more difficult to get. And sadly, that means that obviously the supply versus demand means that the price of the pen will be going up. So the newer the pens that are being made, the higher the price is typically. So if you get the chance of getting one of those materials in a pen at a really good price, then do snap it up, because you probably will not see that price again. The next pen here is an Oldwin Classic, and this is in the Omas Blue Saffron celluloid, and this is a lovely sort of celluloid. It comes with an Oldwin 18 karat gold nib there, you can see, with an ebonite feed. But this material is quite stunning. It's an interesting sort of mix of almost like desert and seas or lakes, perhaps. It really is an interesting pen. It's a cigar pen. It's quite long as well, quite girthy, and not for everybody, I know, but that is a lovely pen that I have inked up this week. And then we have again another Oldwin, and this is in the Arco Verde. This is the 90th anniversary edition of the Oldwin. So this is a special edition here, and you'll see here, just wipe off that nib, condensation on that nib. So you'll see the nib there, it's an 18 karat gold nib, and it has this anodized aluminium feed that's going on there. And then you'll see here that it says number 6 of 60. Is that 6? No, hold on. Got it upside down. Number 3 of 90 there. You can just see that. There you go. Number 3 of 90. It's the Oldwin anniversary. So it's a 90th edition. 90 pens made worldwide of this pen. This has an interesting filling mechanism because it has this, and it is a regular twist turn piston, but it's an interesting mechanism there. So that I have inked up, and you do have trouble now and again getting these patterns to line up. So let's try that one. So there are multiple threads. No, it's not going to line up there. I will eventually get it, but it just takes some time. Yeah, so there you go. So there's that pattern matching up, and then we've got, there you go, the pattern there. And then the next pen here is an ASC Amanda Ceremony Club, and this is the Gladiatory Medio, similar to this one here in the wild, but this is not a bespoke edition, but it does have this really beautiful chiseled look going on there on that Arco brown material. So this is a pen that I am liking a lot. This does have a 18 karat gold nib again, Armando Ceremony Club with an ebonite feed. This is a piston filling pen, and I just like how these write. They do write very wet, And of course I'm going to have trouble matching the pattern up again. Oh, come on, Dave. Let's get this pattern. There you go. There you go. It's strangely enough, when I don't do this on camera, I line the patterns up first time. When I do it on camera, it normally takes 2 or 3 attempts or more to line those patterns up. And there's only 3 threads. The next one here, inked up, is the Bexley, and this is the Carroll Shelby. And this is an interesting material. As I understand it, this is an exclusive material for Bexley, who are part of the pen family, likewise ASC and Wahl Eversharp are, and also Oldwin are as well. So this has a Cobra on the nib, because Carroll Shelby drove a Cobra or AC Cobra. You'll see here it's got an ebonite feed, and you can see the profile there, the feed. Now, this one is a cartridge converter, which I'm just going to ink up, and I'll be writing with for this week. So this is a beautiful pen, a little bit more on the shorter side, perhaps, than some of my pens normally are, but it's still a very nice pen to write with. And then we have these, and this one is a Leonardo Officina Italiana Cuspide, and this is in the mineral grey, but this is a beautiful pen. So I'm really glad I wanted to buy at least one, if not probably 2 or 3 of these. I didn't, because these were around about 800, I think, pound or euros at the time. They do come with a gold nib, and I decided that as much as I like that material, I just wasn't going to buy a couple of these, and they sold out very, very quickly. So this is a piston filling pen, but it's a lovely pen. I kind of have a bit of FOMO on it now, seeing this, because I do, and I'm still not getting these patterns right, am I? Come on. I would love this, but it's I don't know. They're long sold out, and this one is on loan to me. So from that perspective, it has to go back to John. And then we have another Leonardo Officina Italiana Cuspide, and this is in the olive. And again, this is a beautiful pattern. I do like these Cuspide materials, I have to say. My only real thing about these is I wish they came with steel nibs. If they came with steel nibs, I'd probably buy 3 or 4 of them. And it's not that I dislike gold nibs. I have, most of my nibs are gold nibs, but I just find that these Leonardo nibs that are normally Bock, they've now switched to Jowo. I still find that these are a little bit dry and just not as nice a writer as maybe the steel nibs are. So for this, I've got this one inked up as well. I got the pattern to match up first time there. So I have that one inked up again as well today. So I think with that, let's go and do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up today is the Wahl Eversharp Decaband Oversize. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now you can see here, these ASC nibs are super wet, and this is kind of why I like them, because they are very wet writers, although you do not want to be writing with this in a notebook where you have to turn the page a lot. So this is the Wahl Eversharp, and I'll put Decoband, and it's the I'm going to leave off the Oversize, just put Jade. It's a medium nib, but it writes honestly more like a broad, if not closer to a double broad. The nib in here is an 18 cat gold nib. The ink in here is Diamine, and it's Aqua Lagoon, which is a lovely green ink. The next pen is again another Wahl Eversharp, and this is the Gatsby. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And again, this is another super wet writing nib. Just look at how wet that nib writes. So this is a Wahl Eversharp Decaband. And this is the Gatsby. And again, it's a medium 18 karat gold nib, but it definitely doesn't write like it. The ink in here is Waterman Intense Black, which for me is a nice black ink, quite a dark black ink. The next pen here is the Leonardo Officina Italiana, and this is the Chatterley Luxuries Tribal. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this is a much drier writing nib. It's not a fire hose nib. So this is, I'm going to actually put here the Chatterley Luxuries, and this is the Tribal, and it's a broad, and it's a, I think it's a 14 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here today is Diamine as a blue. The next pen I have inked up today is the Armando Simoni Club, and this is the Bespoke Gladiatory Medio. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, this is actually inked up with the same black ink that I used on the previous black ink pen. So this is an ASC, I'm going to abbreviate it. It's the Bespoke edition, and it's the Gladiatory Medio. And this is a medium. It's also in the Wahl actually. So the medium 18 karat gold nib. I'll put in here the Wahl. So I missed that one off. And then the ink in here is Waterman Intense Black. The next pen I have inked up is an Oldwin Classic in the blue Saffron. So we'll do an ink swatch. You can see that this is both a wet writing nib, but it also has a bit of flex to the nib as well. Bit of bounce, which I do like when I am writing with fountain pens. So this is an Oldwin Classic in the blue Saffron. And it's a medium. Double check. Yeah, it's a medium. And it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Terracotta, which is a lovely brown ink. The next pen is an Oldwin, and this is the 90th anniversary edition in the Arco Verde. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now this is another wet writing nib, and you can just see how wet this writes. It is a fire hose of a nib, and probably will create some feathering when writing, a little bit like this one did here. So this is the Oldwin, and it is the 90th anniversary edition, and it's in the Arco Verde. and it is a medium 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here today is Diamine, and it's Sherwood green, which actually is a very nice dark green ink. The next pen I have here is the Armando Simoni Club Gladiatory in the Arco brown. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and see that this isn't that wet a nib, but I do find that this ink also tends to be a little bit more on the drier side. So this is an ASC, and this is the Gladiatory Medio in the Arco brown, and it is a medium 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Pilot, Iwashizuku, and it's Sakushi, or Horse's Tail. The next pen here is the Bexley Carroll Shelby. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you can see there that this blue actually matches the colour of the pen quite nicely. So this is the Bexley, and it's the Cowl Shelby. And this is a medium, just double checking that, it's a medium 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine, China Blue, which is a nice sort of very China blue coloured ink, sort of what you would see in actual sort of china, in plateware, in cups and saucers. The next pen is the Leonardo Officina Italiana Cuspide. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this is a fine gold nib, and I do find that this has a lot of feedback on this nib, and it is very, very fine. It almost writes like an extra fine nib to me. So this is the Leonardo, and this is the Officina Italiana Cuspide, and it's in the mineral grey. And it's a fine, and it's an, I want to say it's a 14, yeah, it's a 14 cat gold nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey. Now this is one of the newer Yovo nibs that Leonardo have now switched to. They used to actually have Bock nibs. The next pen and the last pen is again another Leonardo Officina Italiana, and this is a Cuspide in olive. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is again another both fine nib and sort of really a little bit more of a, I guess, a dry writing nib. So this is the Leonardo Officina Italiana Cuspide, and this is in the olive. Now this is a medium 14 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku Chiku Rin, which is a lovely green ink. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. We have a Wahl Eversharp Decaband Oversize in the Jade in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Aqua Lagoon. And you can see how wet that was because it feathered like crazy on this Oxford Optic paper. We have a Wahl Eversharp Decaband in the Gatsby in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Waterman Intense Black. We have a Chatterley Luxuries Tribal in a broad 14 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Azure Blue. We have an Armando Ceremony Club Bespoke Edition Gladiatory Medio in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Waterman Intense Black, and this is the wild version. We have an Oldwin Classic in blue Saffron in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Terracotta. We have an Oldwin 90th Anniversary Edition Arco Verde in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Sherwood Green. It's another wet writer because you can see the ink feathering. We have an Armando Simoni Club Gladiatory Medio in the Arco Brown in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Sakushi. We have a Bexley Carroll Shelby in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine China Blue. We have a Leonardo Officina Italiana Cuspide in a mineral grey in a fine 14 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. And then we have a Leonardo Officina Italiana Cuspide in the olive in a medium 14 karat gold nib inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Chiku Rin. So there you have it. That's my currently ink pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.